Oh, my God, it's a busy morning, Rosie. Breaking news from Florida that the Governor Ron DeSantis, has dropped out of the race to be the Republican candidate for president. In a message that he posted on Twitter, he threw his weight behind another one. Have a look.
Trump is superior to the current incumbent, Joe Biden. That is clear. I signed a pledge to support the Republican nominee, and I will honor that pledge. He has my endorsement because we can't go back to the old Republican guard of yesteryear.
Well, let's find out more. Joining us to discuss is the deputy editor of the Spectator, Freddy Gray, in the States. Freddy.
Good man.
My goodness, everything changed quite dramatically in the last 24 hours. Talk us through how it all played out.
Well, it was absolutely extraordinary. I saw Ron DeSantis on Friday. He did a press event outside in the bitter cold, and he arrived very late. His campaign seemed a bit of a mess. It was freezing cold. Everyone there was getting a bit cross, and he was extremely grumpy. He looked depressed. He looked like he didn't want to be there, and then he sort of shuffled off. And everybody who was there thought, well, it looks like this campaign's falling apart. In New Hampshire, this primary that we're about to have on Tuesday, he was polling at about 5-6%. And then this morning, there was a lot of speculation about it. This morning, his campaign insisted with 100% certainty that he would fight on to South Carolina, which is the next primary in February, and on. And then just a couple of hours later, Ron DeSantis announces that, yes, he is stepping down. And the irony, of course, is that his campaign slogan was never back down. Yes. And he's just had to.
Freddie, so good you're there in New Hampshire. Obviously, a different state to Iowa. We saw Trump go, it just worked for him in Iowa, despite appalling weather out they came. New Hampshire, slightly different, wealthier, don't mean to be disrespectful, have lived in America, better educated, less religious as an era. Nikki Haley, the ex, I think, ambassador to the UN for Trump, yesterday castigated her ex-boss and said that he wasn't mentally fit to get the job because he confused her, I think, with Nancy Pelosi in a speech. Is he unstoppable, Donald Trump, or could we see a surprise with Haley over the next few days?
He seems almost certainly, with almost 100% certainty, I can say he is unstoppable. I mean, the fact that New Hampshire is supposed to be his weakest state in terms of these primaries, and his movement is dominant here. I went to a Nikki Haley event on Friday evening, and the room had about 100 people in it, and they were all excited. All the campaign's team were very excited that there were so many people there, and that there seemed to be a bit of energy and momentum behind her. The following night, Donald Trump filled out an 11,000-seater stadium, and there was about 150 people who couldn't get in and were very cross because they couldn't get in. The scale of Trump's movement just can't be matched by any Republican candidate. And yes, Nikki Haley may do better than people expect on Tuesday. The polls suggest, though, that Trump is pulling further and further ahead. And of course, DeSantis dropping out is good for him because the lion's share of his supporters will go to Donald Trump.
It'll be interesting to see how that splits. If it is, we can't say exactly sort of a done deal that Donald Trump will get the nomination, but if he does, what does that mean for us, Freddie, facing an election where it'll be Trump v. Biden?
Us in Britain, do you mean?
Yes.
Well, I think it means that we'll have lots more agonizing about Donald Trump. There'll be lots of media hysteria about what he might bring. But I think people should probably calm down a little bit. I think as far as Trump and Biden are concerned with Britain, Biden's not very keen on Britain and the English. He's got this sort of sense of his Irishness, which makes him think that the British are something to be suspicious of. He said about the peace process in Northern Ireland, he didn't want the Brits screwing around with it, is the word he used, if I can say that word on breakfast television.
You're fine with that.
Okay, good. Trump is very well disposed towards Britain. You could say that he was never serious about the trade deal, and perhaps he wasn't. But he's always said he wants to do a big trade deal with Britain.
Let's not forget that Biden gave Sunak about 45 seconds when he came over. He shoved off to Ireland. My point is, and I think this, Rosie was going to say this to you, it's almost the same as in America. Every time that he gets indicted or slagged off or accused of something, his poll ratings go up. I've noticed over the last few weeks, as the Trump bandwagon has gathered space, we've had MI6 saying, oh, he's not good, you know, for security, and people in the army going, oh, we won't defend Ukraine. And the fact of the matter is, right, and it is absolutely fair to say this, Joe Biden, in my humble opinion, I don't know what people think, let us know today, has had a very, very good opportunity after the debacle of what happened to Trump. And it says very little, I think, Freddie, about Biden. A bit like Obama, people won't like this, are given a great opportunity. If you look back, didn't do that much. Biden came in after that terrible thing at the Capitol Hill on the 6th of January. What does he actually achieve? Nearly 60% of America want Donald Trump back. What does that tell you, man? And I don't think anybody's going to scare anybody off. I think they'll vote for him. I do. I've said it all along.
Well, you're quite right, I think. I mean, Joe Biden promised to bring what he called normalcy, which is a rather abnormal word, to America. And he has failed. He's failed spectacularely to do that. Americans are more depressed about the direction of their country. And they also feel very differently about Joe Biden. I mean, a few years ago, he was remembered as fondly as a vice president, Obama's sort of loyal vice president. He was thought to be a solid member of the silent generation, and he was well liked. Today, he's completely detached from his electorate. I've spoken to a lot of Democrats here who just don't like him anymore. So you've got, you know, Donald Trump is unpopular in many ways. He's not widely loved. He is very loved by a minority. But Joe Biden is really just doesn't have an audience. He doesn't have.
I can't believe, Freddie. I can't believe, Rosie, both of you. I can't believe they still will go with Biden. They've boxed themselves into a corner. And Donald Trump, I think it's a done deal. Be interesting to see. You'll be with us tomorrow, though, yeah? With us tomorrow,
I hope so. I hope so. I'll tell you about Dean Phillips, who's coming up on the inside track for the Democrats.
Really?
Great.
Yes, it's quite complicated. I'll try and explain it quickly. But in New Hampshire, they've essentially ditched the primary on the Democratic side, but the Democrats are still holding one. And Dean Phillips is here, and he's actually creating quite a bit of excitement. And it's a sort of pop-up campaign. And he's expected to do very well on Tuesday. And if so, there could be some quite interesting momentum behind him.
Wow.
Brilliant. Freddie, thank you so much.
Thanks,
we'll
Freddie.
check back in tomorrow. New Hampshire, the primary is tomorrow. So it sounds like maybe some of the drama will be happening on the Democrat side of things rather than the Republicans.